All right, hey guys. So today I'm going to do another demonstration. That demonstration is going to be throwing that piece of clay. It is 15 pounds. I've had a number of questions over the years about throwing a large thing on the wheel, and so we're going to do that. Hopefully do it in one take because that's all I have with that clay right there. I've begun this small, well, it's small right now. I got two vessels. One's already glazed and one is drying, which you saw in that first video I posted last week. And I'm going to continue throwing maybe these like low fire clay vessels that are kind of larger vases, if you will. With the whole idea that when I glaze them, it's glazed in such a way that I'm trying to get to this point of regret with them. But first I need a great object to start with. Because I can't regret something if I don't love it in the first place. Alright, so it's hard to see on here, but maybe I'll show you in a minute. Behind the scenes look, or I'll maybe make another little video or something. I have the Shimpo, the Whisper up on a cart. And that's mostly easy for like easy moving and all that. Because this floor being pretty new and fresh and clean, they were talking about, I was talking to Kay and she was, not this past week, but the week before or something, and she was saying that maintenance may need to come in here and do something else, so I just need to make sure this wheel is mobile. So I'm like sitting a good extra foot off the ground. It's kind of funny. To you, it just looks pretty normal, I suppose. Get that out of the way. All right, another note, you may say to yourself, hey, Professor Groth, I thought we're not supposed to use these buckets for anything other than water and for mixing plaster. Well, here's the thing, this is my bucket. I bought this bucket, and I can do what I want with that bucket. So, there. All right, first thing, right? Boom, big piece of clay, meet wheel. We got some power, and all right. The Whisper. I have no stock in Shimpo. This is an amazing wheel, a truly amazing wheel. All right, the other thing I'm going to try and do, because I've sat down Monday morning. Okay, it's Monday morning now. I did not sit down. I was actually looking at these on Friday. I watched my videos that I made, the demonstrations, and so yes, they are of, I guess you would say, low production value. But they also weren't like, I was not very exciting. I apologize. I love doing this stuff. Truly, truly love doing this stuff. And I was like, man, that is not coming across 100% in the video. I also apologize now for all past actions I might have had in seeming boring in any sort of lecture and demonstration. So it's my commitment to try and beef up the liveliness here. Alright, so I wedged this first. Naturally, I wasn't going to film that because boring. And now I'm just doing a little bit of wheel wedging, getting it all nice and centered. There's going to be some air bubbles in there. Just taking it a little slow. I'm not in a rush. I don't need to prove any machoism either to show how fast I can center this because it's a big thing or something. Just a Sunday afternoon walk in the park, so to speak. Let's take off some clay. The thing with throwing big stuff, for me at least, is there's always a fair amount of loss. So if I'm starting with 15 pounds, what I might end up with is really like 14, 13 pounds. I'm going to tear off a fair amount of that just in the whole centering and throwing process. Nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just throw down some clay off the side. So I like using my fingers as trimming tools themselves to get everything really nice and centered. So as you're looking at on the side here, that doesn't make it any better. You can see that it is spinning, or it's not uneven. I'm not going to have any sort of off-kilterness when I get up to the top. I will say Ooh, don't have this fully connected. No, it's gonna be fine. I will say that this clay is just a little wet, and for what I want to do, that's probably not going to be best, so we'll see what happens. And I also wedged together some sloppy clay and some not so sloppy clay, which could create lumps. We'll see. These are good. These things are good to have for you, to see me not freak out about it. And if this thing fails, I'll still post it, and it's not the end of the world. Quick note, I am repping what was it? Jasper National Park, but mostly Bigfoot. I have this story from my youth, and it goes something to like this, where we went to Colorado on this family trip. Typical American car ride, right? Like we all piled, my 4 sisters and me, my parents, into the same van, drove from Illinois to Colorado. We knew people there, so we were staying with them. And that is like a 2-day trip to get to Colorado from where we lived. Maybe it's like a single day, like a 14-hour ride. I don't know, like St. Louis to Denver, whatever. You could do the math at home if you want to. Google Maps it. Anyway, that's not all really important, other than like I was young, about 4 or 5, but of old enough age to know what I saw. And we went up, or we're going up the Pikes Peak on like the little tram thing, right, that takes you up there, because we weren't going to drive our van on those roads. I've done that with a friend who apparently did not value life as much as I did, as it was misty, and he was like flying down the mountain. I was like, Nick, you need to stop. That's much later, different story. Anyway, we were going up the tram when I was 4 as a family trip, and much safer. It wasn't broken. I guess that thing breaks down from time to time. I don't know. That's what I've heard. And I saw Bigfoot. Looked off in the trees, and there he was. There's like 2 trees, and there's Bigfoot. You just stand between them. And then we like locked eyes, and boom, I looked away, and that's it. Eyes forward. I wasn't gonna bring Bigfoot's wrath down on me. Since then, I'm a believer. So there you go. You heard it from me. Someone you can trust. Bigfoot exists. All right. So while I was telling that amazing story, just kind of going in here, creating a really thick donut. This is going to be a fun one to throw. I always like throwing things that are a little bit challenging. Okay, so what's hard to tell, if you had a camera coming down here, that'd be great. What's hard to tell, because I don't have that camera, is how wide this opening is. I will measure it with my fingers. It's this wide, right? So my hand is like that. I'm keeping it pretty narrow. The reason is it will get wider. And the wider it gets, the harder it is to be able to hold that height. So I'm going to keep it pretty narrow now. I don't want to be too narrow. I do need some it's the Goldilocks. I do need some width in there, because the narrower it is, the harder it is going to be to widen it out later. It'll stretch and destroy itself. So not too wide, not too narrow. That's the goal. And because I'm going to end up making a bottle form here, I do kind of want to start flattening out that bottom right now, so there's not so many throwing rings. I know, you're not going to see it, but there's just something in my mind that feels like that's really important. I just realized that I left too much on the bottom here, so I'm just going a little bit farther down. Which naturally is going to pull out some clay. This is going to be a long video. I'm really sorry. It's already at 9 minutes. If you need to pause, just hit that pause button and then come back. Now's a good time to do that, right? Grab yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, Earl Grey, or as my friend Eric and his family like to say, early grave. The things you pick up, right? Okay, so if you pause here at 10:02, we'll wait for you, okay? And you're